Welcome to growthtofreedom.com, the show that brings you inspiration, transformation, and leadership. We're helping you connect the dots, see the blind spots, and get unstuck so you can go out and generate more leads, more sales, more profits. More importantly, so you can go out and have a bigger reach, a bigger impact, and make a bigger contribution.
Now let's talk about the what I believe to be the 6 key areas. I've been teaching this a lot over the last couple of years of a business and the way to think about the business. In no particular order, I believe the 6 capabilities that you and I all need to run a very successful company, whether we choose it to be small or whether we choose to build a big multi-million-dollar business. 6 key capabilities that we've got to get in place and run it properly. So the first, in no particular, I'm just going to name the 6. And I'll be slow for Paul, so he doesn't tap me. You ever see the commercial with linebacker tape? You always see that commercial? Go on YouTube maybe tonight and type in linebacker tape. Right? It's from a few years ago. It's really funny. This big linebacker comes rushing down a hallway and tackles his person and knocks him out. It's pretty funny. So I'm picturing Paul doing that to me, if I don't go slow enough.
It makes you feel any better. Yeah, you go slow too.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Do you have anything for that? First is...
I
don't feel as isolated.
So sales, marketing, leadership, productivity, emotional mastery, and hiring. So 6 areas: sales, marketing, leadership, emotional mastery, productivity, recruiting, and hiring. Now, I could take a week with each of you on each of those 6 areas, right? And how to improve each of those. Well, let's go back to the 1% approach, right? One of my favorite paradigms to think about for all of us in the room is this idea of 80-20, but it's not what you think, right? And your natural tendency likely will be you'll be a little bit skeptical when I share what I'm going to share with you. I just want to hedge that off, right? Call it the elephant in the room, if you will. For a couple of reasons. Number one, you go, oh, I've tried something like that before. I want to challenge you to go all the way through what I'm going to talk about in this 80-20 principle, because I imagine you've never seen it or heard it talked about like this. And I believe it will transform, if you can put it in place and you can look at installing this in your business, it will transform every one of your company. I've never seen it not work. It took my little company that I started out of literally a den in my house at 400 square feet with this guy who had never been in sales before, who worked for me as a volunteer, who used to ride his bike from one side of the city to the other, and I told him I couldn't pay him, and he just started showing up. And so he mirrored me and modeled me and patterned himself after me, and that one person out of my den grew to multiple offices, and we did a lot of stuff in 5 different industries, 5 different business categories, right? And I made a lot of mistakes along the way, by the way, but this one strategy is what allowed it to grow. Because by the way, let me also share, I didn't invent any of this, right? I learned this from another mentor. His name was Bill. And he talked about this 80-20 rule. I want to talk about the 2 most important of the 6, because there's probably 3 different categories of business in the room. The first category of business is you're like building up momentum, and you're working to get a foundation of sales underneath you, right? In that place. Second category of people, you've got momentum, and you really want to move it up to the next level overall. And you're just looking for a couple ways to be able to think about your business to be able to do that. And then the third, and you might have even hit a little bit of a plateau, we'll call it. So you've kind of plateaued. Maybe you got to the $2 million, $3 million, $4 million a year business. And then there's another person in the room that's already kind of got momentum, and you're like wanting that next incredible breakthrough. And regardless of where you're at in the 3, this process will help transform your company and give you 10 times growth. Not to mention that if you do the 1% in the 6 areas, which I'll come back around to near the end here, and we'll do more into some of the tactical things, will also give you incredible exponential momentum too, right? And by the way, Gina, can you talk to Gina separately? The things I teach, by the way, are the things that we do. I don't teach stuff that I'm not doing, because I'm not good enough to do that, right? We've had a few things that we've installed. Like, I want you to write a couple things down real quick. Awareness on your business, right? So 2 numbers I want you to write down. And I'll probably give you 4, but let's start with 2. First business is, what's your revenue per team member? Revenue per team member. Or other way you look at it, it's a common like corporate thing, is revenue per employee. And then what's your payroll compared to your gross sales in your company? Now, if you're just launching, by the way, and you're building momentum, you might have zeros in there. And that's normal, by the way. That's part of it. But then if you've got beyond that and you're in the 2nd tier or the 3rd tier, these are really important numbers to know in your business. I'm a team member, by the way. But I look to install and run and lead the company based on a couple of these numbers. That I don't really talk about them, but I am aware of them. So revenue per employee, and then the percentage of payroll to your gross sales. Now, every industry has different standards, right? But I was at Strategic Coach this past week, and one of the common, way above average numbers that was talked about was $350,000 revenue per employee. For way above average company, industry standards are like the 150, 175. We were in an event, I won't name the company, they're here in Phoenix, it's a big software company, and they were really proud that they were like 85,000. But for their industry, maybe that's solid. So the higher up it can be, the better it can be, as long as you're not completely overstretched. The second one, payroll to gross sales. Every industry is a little bit different. The number I go for, running like companies and publishing and coaching and media and different things like that, I like to keep the number at 25% or less. Payroll to gross sales. Now, what that means, by the way, if you are able to really hone in, like if you can get a number theoretically, which is way above average, up over say 400,000 or more in revenue per team member or employee, like unless you're just totally jacked on your expenses, you are immensely profitable. And if your payroll percentage, 25, if it fits in your industry.
Thanks for listening to this episode of GrowthToFreedom.com. Are you struggling to get a steady flow of new clients every day? Or maybe hit a plateau or hit a wall in growing your business? Well, let's help you solve this problem today. Let's review your business and have a conversation. You can do that for free today at breakthroughstrategycall.com. That's breakthroughstrategycall.com. In addition, if you're looking for a simple way to implement some of what we've been talking about in today's episode, then I want to encourage you to get our free small business toolkit. You can get that at activate.breakthrough3x.com. That's activate.breakthrough3x.com. If you'd like access to the special resources and all the show notes for this special episode, make sure to visit growthtofreedom.com.